The cabin lights glowed softly as passengers settled into their first-class seats, the quiet hum of the engines filling the air. Business travelers checked emails, a couple sipped champagne, and a young mother buckled her child into the wide leather seat across the aisle. It was just another routine flight, until everything changed in a matter of seconds. A well-dressed black woman stepped into first class carrying a small leather handbag and her boarding pass. She moved calmly, confidently, scanning the seat numbers until she reached the window seat in the second row. She placed her bag down, smiled politely at the man beside her, and began fastening her seatbelt. That's when the flight attendant appeared. She walked down the aisle with a tight expression, stopping abruptly beside the woman. Her voice was sharp enough to cut through the quiet cabin. "Excuse me, you're in the wrong section. Economy is in the back." The woman looked up, slightly surprised, but still calm. "No, I'm in the right seat, 2A. The attendant folded her arms. "Ma'am, I don't want to cause a scene. Please take your things and move to your assigned seat." A few passengers glanced up from their phones. The man sitting next to the woman looked uncomfortable but stayed silent. The woman held up her boarding pass. "You're welcome to check. This is my seat." Instead of taking the pass, the attendant's voice grew louder. "I've been doing this job for 15 years. I know who belongs in first class and who doesn't." A ripple of tension spread across the cabin. Phones slowly lifted, screens lighting up as passengers began recording. The woman's calm expression faded. "What exactly do you mean by that?" The attendant leaned closer, her face hard. "Don't play games. Get out of first class." The words echoed in the quiet cabin. A few passengers gasped. The man across the aisle whispered, "This isn't right." The woman didn't move. She simply held her boarding pass out again. "Please verify it." That's when the moment crossed the line. The attendant slapped the boarding pass out of her hand. It fluttered to the floor between the seats. A shocked murmur filled the cabin. Someone in the back said, "Did she just hit her?" The woman stared at the attendant, stunned but composed. Slowly, she bent down, picked up the pass, and brushed it off. "You shouldn't have done that," she said quietly. The attendant scoffed. "Last chance. Get out of this section before I call security." The woman reached into her handbag and pulled out her phone. Not to call anyone, just to open an email. She turned the screen toward the attendant. "I think you should read this first." The attendant glanced down, clearly annoyed, but as her eyes scanned the screen, her expression changed. The color drained from her face. What is this?" she whispered. "It's the ownership certificate," the woman said calmly. "My company purchased this aircraft last month. It's part of a new private charter partnership with your airline." The attendant's mouth opened, but no words came out. By now, several passengers were openly filming. The man beside her leaned forward, trying to read the phone screen. The woman continued, her voice steady. "I'm on this flight because I like to experience the service personally. It helps me understand what our clients go through." The attendant took a shaky step back. I didn't know." "That's the point," the woman replied. "You didn't ask, you assumed." The purser, alerted by the commotion, hurried down the aisle. "What's going on here?" Several passengers spoke at once. She slapped her pass. "We've got it on video. You need to handle this." The purser turned to the attendant. "Is this true?" The attendant couldn't even meet her eyes. The woman handed the purser her phone. "You might want to read this." Within seconds, the purser's expression shifted from confusion to shock. She straightened her posture immediately. "Ma'am, I am deeply sorry for what just happened," she said. "This is completely unacceptable." The cabin grew silent. Even the engines seemed quieter. The attendant stood frozen in the aisle, her earlier confidence completely gone. The woman took her seat again and fastened her seatbelt. "I didn't come here to cause trouble," she said, "but respect should never depend on what someone looks like or where you think they belong." No one spoke. Several passengers lowered their phones, the weight of the moment settling over the cabin. The purser turned to the attendant. "Please step to the galley, now." As the attendant walked away, her shoulders slumped. A passenger near the back whispered, "Instant karma." The woman leaned back in her seat, looking out the window as the runway lights stretched into the distance. A few minutes later, the captain's voice came over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the delay. We'll be departing shortly. Thank you for your patience." But everyone in first class knew this flight would be anything but routine, because sometimes the biggest lessons at 30,000 feet have nothing to do with flying and everything to do with how you treat the person sitting right next to you.